I bring word, sire. There are demands from the Banorn that you step down from the Regency. They are said to be gathering their forces, as are your allies. It appears it will be civil war after all, despite the Darkspawn. Pity. I also have an interesting report. There seem to be Grey Wardens who survived Ostagar. How, I don't know. But they will act against you. I have arranged for a solution, with your leave.
The Antivan Crows send their regards.
An assassin?
Against Grey Wardens, we will need the very best, sire.
And the most expensive.
Just get it done.
Oh, thank the Maker. We need help. They attacked the wagon. Please help us. Follow me. I'll take you to them.
Dies here!
Oh, what? I rather thought I would wake up dead, or not wake up at all, as the case may be. But I see you haven't killed me yet. Oh, so you kept me around to have a bit of fun, did you? But the purpose behind torture is usually to interrogate, yes? In that case, despite the potential for fun, perhaps I'll save you a bit of time and get right to the point. My name is Zeveran. Zev to my friends. I am a member of the Antivan Crows, brought here for the sole purpose of slaying any surviving Grey Wardens, which I have failed at, sadly. So would I be in your shoes. For me, however, it sets a rather poor precedent, doesn't it? Getting captured by a target seems a tad detrimental to one's budding assassin career. Yes, it's true. Too bad for me.
I can tell you that. They are an order of assassins out of Antiva, very powerful and renowned for always getting the job done, so to speak. Someone went to great expense to hire this man.
Quite right. I'm surprised you haven't heard much of the Crows out here. Back where I come from, we're rather infamous. Oh, fine. Is that what you Fereldans do? Mock your prisoners? Such cruelty. Not precisely. I was in the neighborhood when the offer came. The Crows get around, you see. A rather taciturn fellow in the capital. Logain, I think his name was. Yes, that's it. I wasn't. If I had succeeded, I would have returned home and the Crows would have informed your Logain of the results, if he didn't already know. If I had failed, I would be dead, or I should be, at least as far as the Crows are concerned. No need to see Logain then. What can I say, huh? I am an eternal optimist. Although the chances of succeeding at this point seem a bit slim, don't they? No, I don't suppose you'd find that funny, would you? I wasn't paid anything. The crows, however, were paid quite handsomely, or so I understand. Which does make me about as poor as a chantry mouse, come to think of it. Being an Antivan crow isn't for the ambitious, to be perfectly honest. Well, aside from a distinct lack of ambition, I suppose it's because I wasn't given much of a choice. The crows bought me young. I was a bargain, too, or so I'm led to believe. But don't let my sad story influence you. The crows aren't so bad. They keep one well supplied. Wine, women, men, whatever you happen to fancy. Though the whole severance package is garbage, let me tell you. If you're considering joining, I'd really think twice about it. You seem like a bright lad. I'm sure you've other options. Why not? I wasn't paid for silence. Not that I offered it for sale, precisely. Consider it something I'm throwing in for free. As it is, if you're done with the interrogation, I have a proposal for you, if you're of a mind. Well, here's the thing. I failed to kill you, so my life is forfeit. That's how it works. If you don't kill me, the crows will. Thing is, I like living. And you obviously are the sort to give the crows pause, so let me serve you instead. I happen to be a very loyal person, up until the point where someone expects me to die for failing. That's not a fault, really, is it? I mean, unless you're the sort who would do the same thing, in which case I don't come very well recommended, I suppose. To be completely honest, I was never given much of a choice regarding joining the crows. They bought me on the slave market when I was a child. I think I paid my worth back to them plus tenfold. The only way out, however, is to sign up with someone they can't touch. Even if I did kill you now, they might just kill me on principle for failing the first time. Honestly, I'd rather take my chances with you. Why? Because I am skilled at many things, from fighting to stealth and picking locks. I could also warn you should the Antivan crows attempt something more sophisticated, now that my attempts have failed. I also know a great many jokes. 12 massage techniques, 6 different card games. I do wonderful at parties, no? Well, let's see. Being allowed to live would be nice, and would make me marginally more useful to you. And somewhere down the line, if you should decide that you no longer have need of me, then I go on my way. Until then, I am yours. Is that fair? I think you're royally tough to kill. I'm only hoping that you're stupid. That was a joke. Let me rephrase that. I'm hoping that you're the sort of fellow that takes a chance every now and again. Yes?
Welcome, Zeveran. Having an Antivan crow join us sounds like a fine plan.
Oh, you're another companion to be, then? I wasn't aware such loveliness existed amongst adventurers, surely.
Or maybe not.
I hereby pledge my oath of loyalty to you until such a time as you choose to release me from it. I am your man, without reservation. This I swear. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well, the crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training, the sort that tests both your resolve and your endurance. Survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is the desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field. I don't know about that. It's simply a slightly different skill set from your average killer, as I see it. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler. I do. It is not something inherent in an assassin's skills, however, merely something complementary. Of course, the crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets, shrouded in shadows and wrapped in a blanket of mystery. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we?
It's done. Your veil is strong. This one has kept its word. Now this one will go. There is much to do. Ask, human. Ask quickly.
Grandmother, Sophia, she knew about the blood magic then?
Yes, she did. Avernus was powerful, useful. It suited her ambitions.
But my grandmother was a hero.
In her own mind, yes. She aspired to rule the land of the waking, to cast out the tyrant king, to mete out justice to those who betrayed her. Cousin Arland was so coy, so devious. Years before she sensed the asp. The old king died without kin, and the Dryden sought to don the crown. But the boy Arland was thought liable by those in power. Fools. The Dryden, powerful, charismatic, insightful, and ignored. They gave her a choice, death or the Wardens. She bided her time, she waited, she lived. The boy King Arland spread terror, spread death, and the Dryden plotted. But Arland's spies were too clever. She was discovered, and her last battle was here.
And you, demon? How did you come to take her?
When the Avernus deserted her, the Dryden would not die. Fierce pride, lovely, delicious terror. This one came to her. She would live, in a fashion. And so she does. For this one is honest.
Do you have any proof of this? Any proof of her good deeds and bad?
Poor ilk of this body. This one has nothing. Only words lost in the wind. Our business is at an end.
You take that word of yours very seriously, do you not? Either that or you have a dark streak. Either way, I'm impressed.
You will never see me again, Warden.
Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well now, I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it? To be truthful, I didn't even know the crows existed when I joined them. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die. Of course, you compete against your fellow assassins, and those who survive are rightfully proud of it. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth. Gets you women. And men. Or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining. I fancy many things. I fancy things that are beautiful, and things that are strong. I fancy things that are dangerous and exciting. Would you be offended if I said I fancied you? This is good to know. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go. Everything changes, my friend. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so.
Darren Atishan Lethaline, would you come and help us break our fast? Come then and sit. Join us by the fire. I am Harant Seril, the clan storyteller. You have one in your own clan, I assume. Ah, Haren Pyvel still lives. That is good, for he was old even when I was but Dalen. How lucky you are to have been reared with his tales. I notice you are not alone. These companions of yours are Grey Wardens like yourself?
I am a golem, obviously.
Zeveran here. We have Dalish up in Antiva City, though they're much more violent, I hear.
A Grey Warden? I? Bite your tongue, storyteller.
Anathara, friend. It is good to see another of the wandering clans. Where is your clan now, if I might ask? I see. I am glad you have become part of such a respectful organization as the Grey Wardens, however. I understand you will search for the wolves in the Brazilian forest. I would join you, but Zeveran has forbidden me. We are banned from entering the forest now. I have more cause than most, but I will not disobey my keeper. I suppose there's no harm in telling a fellow elf, but surely you have greater concerns than any problem of mine, no? No. It is too strange to discuss something like that with you.
Come now. You'll hardly get any help unless you ask for it, hmm?
Very well. It's odd to talk so freely with a stranger, but perhaps you can help me. My wife Denilah and I both fought the werewolves in the ambush. She was injured so gravely, the curse spread rapidly in her. Zeveran fought hard to ease her pain, but there was little he could do. And though he says that Denilah is dead, he will not let me see her body. I am beginning to believe she became a werewolf, and that it is being kept from me so I do not go chasing after her.
And if she was a werewolf, and the elf chased her and then found her, what then? Sweet, blissful reunion?
I don't know. Maybe she would know me as her love, even still?
More likely she would love to eat you.
If I could just know if Denilah is alive, or what happened to her, then I could be at peace. Masiranas, thank you. The Keeper means well, but I must discover the truth for myself. If you were in the forest, perhaps you might come across her, alive or dead. Any news would be better than none. And in return, I would be happy to gift you an amulet made by our craftsmen. It may fetch you some coin in the human lands. You are most kind. Please, should you come across my wife, return and tell me.
Hold on, you. That's private property. That's an old man's home, that is. Keep out. Keep out!
No offense, but might I try? I've got a quick hand, after all. Ha, let's see. Oh, when was the last time I slipped my hand into some dark hole? I remember, long story that. And there we go. It was definitely trapped, but I'm too awesome by far. Here's what was inside. All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so. I know little enough of the Dalish other than the fact that my mother was one, or so I was told. She had fallen in love with an elven woodcutter and accompanied him back to the city, leaving her clan behind for good. And there, of course, the woodcutter died of some filthy disease and my mother was forced into prostitution to pay off his debts. Oldest tale in the book. How should I know? My mother was a whore, as you'll recall. None of the other elven boys in the whorehouse knew their fathers. I was not so unusual. I didn't know my mother either, of course. She died giving birth to me. My first victim, as it were. We were all raised communally by the whores. It was a happy enough existence, ignoring the occasional beating. Until eventually I was sold to the crows. I brought a good price, so I hear. It could have been much worse. Shall I tell you about what happened to the other whorehouse boys who did not fetch a decent price with the crows? Surely your life has not been so idyllic. People like you and I are not the product of happy lives of contentment, after all. My original point is that my mother's Dalish nature was always a point of fascination for me. Through all the years of my crow training, the one thing of my mother's that I possessed was a pair of gloves. They were of Dalish make, I knew that much, and beautiful. I had to keep them hidden, of course, as we were not allowed such things. Eventually, they were discovered, and I never saw them again. I suppose you would. I'd always wanted another. In fact, I ran off to join a clan once when they drew near Antiva city, thinking that there I would find my true calling. Naturally, the reality did not live up at all to the fantasies I had constructed as a boy, staring at those gloves. But such is life. Come, enough talk of the Dalish. Let us move on.
And look who we have here. Come to apologize for leaving me bereft of my lord husband and then vanishing without a trace.
You know it was just business, Isabella. Business that turned out well for you, I see. You inherited the ship, I take it.
I suppose I never did like the greasy bastard, and the siren treats me far better than she ever did him.
Indeed. This is Isabella, Queen of the Eastern Seas and the sharpest blade in Lomerin. And Isabella, my dear, you will no doubt be amused to discover that I am traveling with a Grey Warden.
A Grey Warden? Charmed. I assume you saw that little drama, and none of these poor brutes has ever proven a match for me. They are too clumsy and predictable. I fight with quickness and wit, rather than with brute force and strength. I call myself a duelist because I honed my skills in duels with warriors I encountered over the years. An unusual request, coming from a fearsome slayer of Darkspawn. I am flattered that you wish to learn from me, sweet thing. But I have watched you, and you seem to lack a particular grace that is required. You are accustomed to doing battle a certain way, yes? I can teach you some basics. Perhaps you can pass it on to someone who might be interested in what I have to offer. I do, however, wish to get to know my potential student better. So we shall call for a drink, and you will honor me with a game. Have you ever played Wicked Grace? It is easy to learn, but difficult to master. You must watch your opponent's moves as carefully as your own. Before we start, the cards must be shuffled. Shall I, or would you like to? Very well. There. That should be sufficient. 5 cards each to start with, and may the cleverest player win. Ah, the Knight of Dawn. Just what I wanted. Oh, I think I'm going to win this round. Please, keep your hands to yourself. Ha! the Angel of Death card. The game is over. We must show our hands. 2 serpents, a song. Not bad. But the rest of your hand is rather pitiable. I have 4 knights. Roses, ages, sacrifice, and wisdom. It beats your hand. Still undefeated after all these years. Will I never meet my match? Ah, you're a good sport. Another game then. Before we start, the cards must be shuffled. Shall I, or would you like to? Very well. There. That should be sufficient. 5 cards each to start with, and may the cleverest player win. Oh! I think this card will come in handy. Please, keep your hands to yourself. Ha! The Angel of Death card. The game is over. We must show our hands. Oh dear. Is that what you have? Do you need me to go through the rules again? I have 3 angels, fortitude, truth, and charity, and the Night of Dawn. I win. Still undefeated after all these years. Will I never meet my match? Now, there's no need for such petty accusations. You are simply an inexperienced player. You will get better with practice. Not so fast, sweet thing. I'm not sure I know you yet. Come. Another game? Ah, you're a good sport. Another game then. Before we start, the cards must be shuffled. Shall I, or would you like to? Good. Go ahead then. Are you done yet? 5 cards each to start with, and may the cleverest player win. The Serpent Entwined Dagger. I was looking for this. Ah, you have that familiar glint in your eye. Good cards, I take it. Please, keep your hands to yourself. Ha! The Angel of Death card. The game is over. We must show our hands. 2 serpents, a song. Not bad. But the rest of your hand is rather pitiable. I have 4 knights. Roses, ages, sacrifice, and wisdom. It beats your hand. Still undefeated after all these years. Will I never meet my match?
If I could have a moment of your time... Excuse us, Isabella. You do know that Isabella is cheating, don't you? She is testing you, I think. She wants to see if you can outwit her. Let me help. I think I know how we can beat her.
Well, will you play again? Stop whispering over there. Ah, you're a good sport. Another game then. Before we start, the cards must be shuffled. Shall I, or would you like to? Very well. There. That should be sufficient. 5 cards each to start with, and may the cleverest player win. Is it my turn again? I shall draw another card, and you may draw another too, if you wish. Ha! The Angel of Death card. The game is over. We must show our hands. And I have Songs of Twilight and Autumn, Serpents of Decay and Sadness. The Knights of Compassion and Mercy. They are only just better than mine, but better, nonetheless. Congratulations. You have proven yourself quick and resourceful, and I would be honored to pass my skills on to you. Come, we will need some space for this.
You hear about the note? Maybe we have some things we can talk about.
Just see the conversation stays civil.
If this is a trap,
Zeveran, is it? You are Talisan's responsibility. Other crows may try to kill you, but in my eyes, you're already dead. So, you are of no notice. But the warden here, he is of great interest to me. I can't stress enough that I wasn't hired to do anything. An associate was, and he's failed. And failed badly.
I'd like to see you do any better.
Do you take me for a fool? That's a contract I'd never take. A client can always hire more help if the job isn't done the first time. But I am hoping we can make sure that doesn't happen.
I've only heard of the one time the entire House of Crows was hired for a job. A princely sum changed hands, and an entire noble family died. Not one soul survived. Ignacio has the right of it. Generally, it is one master, one job.
Ferelden is a busy place. Blight, civil war, other mayhem. Lots of people not getting along. Sometimes they really don't get along. Maybe want to do something about it. The people that handle that sort of thing can get real busy. It takes time to do a good job. Pride in your work and all. But customers have expectations. Not many people to turn to if you're short-staffed in some lines of work. So, someone that's crossed our path and lived, well, maybe they could help out. Make some coin. Everyone wins. I hand you a scroll. You read it, you learn about someone interesting. If you find out something happens to him, something unfortunate, then if we talk again, I give you money for letting me know. You don't like what's on the scroll, don't do anything. Maybe he has an accident and someone else tells me all about it. You can never be too careful. Can you blame someone for being circumspect? That I cannot do. One master has a contract on you. But if you help us out, maybe if that master asks for help, he'll just get silence, yes? There you go. Makes for fine reading.
You're a cautious little weasel, Ignacio. What's your angle? If you're playing us false...
My dance is not for you. I need to be real honest sometimes. And I can say I haven't asked anyone to do anything. I've just given someone something interesting to read.
And you think that will save your hide when they nail it to a wall?
You are already dead in my eyes, whoreson. Take care that I don't learn otherwise. If that's all, luck be to you.
I'm curious. Will the painted elf answer a question?
Why not? I appear to have all day.
The painted elf attacked the Grey Warden, and yet it still lives. Had the decision been mine, its skull would be pulp right now.
Oh, I don't know. Could you destroy something as pretty as I am?
Easily. I fail to see how any measure of attractiveness would make one difficult to crush.
Perhaps you do not know how to look then. Look at the witch. Dark hair, heaving chest, quivering lips. How could one kill such a creature without bedding it first?
How relieved I am.
One would have to be blind not to realize how very pretty we all are and how important that is to preserve.
Perhaps there are definitions of blind I have yet to understand.
I've a question, if I may. Well, here's the thing. I swore an oath to serve you, yes? And I understand the quest you're on, and this is all very fine and well. My question pertains to what you intend to do with me once this business is over with, as a point of curiosity. Of course it is afterwards. The ravishing part is a given. One simply assumes that once your Grey Warden business is finished, you would have no need of an assassin to follow you about. Am I wrong? I'm sure I could come up with a few more if pressed. It is good to know what my options might be, but that is for another time. For now, we have much to do, yes?
I have noticed that the painted elf seeks the attention of the Grey Warden.
He certainly does.
I watched many such couplings during the time I spent immobile in Honleaf. Or I should say I was forced to watch. You do know that this usually ends in reproduction. I've seen it many times, indeed.
I doubt that would be a problem in this particular instance, but who knows? The act of creation is grand fun.
So you say. I have no idea how a golem is created, but I doubt I shall be creating one anytime soon.
Just as well, I imagine. Any lover of yours would no doubt be quickly reduced to a puddle of bruises.
So you see me winning the affection of another golem, do you? Most golems are slaves to whomever holds their control rod.
Funny, it works exactly the same way for us as well. Gloves? You're giving me gloves? What for? Maker's breath. You're right. It is like my mother's. The leather was less thick, and it had more embroidery, but these are very close, and quite handsome. Do I seem surprised? Perhaps I am. Still, I appreciate the fact that you even thought of me. No one has simply given me a gift before. Thank you. All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so. And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree? I often find myself the instrument of fate, ending these lives for one necessity or another. I console myself with the notion that most of them had it coming. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules, oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else? I mean professionally. Or maybe you mean professionally as well. Perhaps you intend to peddle my services to bored Ferelden noblewomen. It is an interesting thought, but I've always removed my clothes strictly on an amateur basis. A talented amateur, of course, but an amateur nonetheless. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them. Your desire. All right, but I get to stare at you luridly while you do so. My adventures? I'm hardly an old man just returned from across the ocean, am I? Should I shake my fist at nearby children while I talk about the good old days?
falling down a flight of stairs is an adventure. Falling into someone's bed, also an adventure. I am assuming what you're looking for are professional anecdotes. Let's see, my second mission ever for the Crows was a bit intriguing. I was sent to kill a mage who had been meddling in politics. In Antiva, nobody is too important to escape the reach of the Crows. They've killed kings and queens. That is simply how it is. As it turned out, the mage in question was quite a delightful young woman. Long, divine legs, as I recall. I caught her in a carriage on her way to escape to the provinces. After I killed her guard, she got down on her hands and knees and begged for her life. Rather aptly, I might add. So I joined her in the carriage for the night and left the next morning. Yes, but not on purpose, actually. The woman had actually convinced me to speak to the Crows on her behalf. What can I say? I was young and foolish at the time. Then, as I was kissing her goodbye to return to Antiva City, she slipped on the threshold and fell backwards out of the carriage. Broke her neck. Shame, really, but at least it happened quickly. Not actually, no. I was a bit unimpressed by the development at first. Then I found out that she had told the driver to take her to Janellen instead. She had planned to lose me in the provinces. I would have looked very foolish to the Crows. As it was, my master was very impressed that I had done such a fine job of making it look like an accident. The circle of Magi was unaware of foul play, and everyone was happier all around. I suppose, but she was dead. She didn't need to be happy. It was after that when I learned that one needn't let a pretty face go to your head. Professionalism was key. That's my moral of the day, you see. Well, there is you. But I'll point out that you did have to capture me and tie me up first. Every rule has its exception. Now that I've mentioned tying me up in that context, do we have extra rope about? What is your desire? Oh, this should be good. What would you like to discuss? Intrigued by tight leather clothing? I grew up amongst Antivan whores, men and women both. My introduction to the subject of sex was, shall we say, rather practical. My only rule regarding sex is that it be done well. It's a certain open-mindedness that the Crows seek in their recruits, for very good reasons. I have had to do many things in my work as an assassin, some pleasant and many not so. The Crows recruit elven assassins because we are considered beautiful by humans. I'm sure you can imagine the rest. I cannot change my past, obviously. You are a most intriguing man, but if what I represent makes you uncomfortable, well, it would be better for both of us to know that now, yes? No, I didn't expect it would. You've a bit of an open mind yourself, no? Ah, enough talk of the past. As my tutor used to say, keep your eyes to the rear in the ambush and the bedchamber, and not otherwise. Ah, words to live by. What is your desire? Again? I'm game. Oh, is there something in your tent that needs assassinating? That is my specialty, or so I'm told. That's quite an offer, especially coming from another man, if we are both speaking of the same thing. On the odd occasion, yes. See? I knew this would happen eventually. I should have warned you right from the moment you refused to kill me. It was inevitable. It's true. They used to issue warnings about me at the Antivan border. Ah, the good old days. So then, as the priestess so famously said to the handsome actor, what now? Allow me to make it simple for you, my Grey Warden. What comes next is entirely up to you. I was raised to take my pleasures where they could be found, for they do not come very often. I shall ask nothing more of you than you are willing to give. I was born of a whore and bred as an assassin. All I know is of pleasure and death. What room is there on these things for love, huh? At any rate, we should be on our way. A new day awaits us, or so the rumor goes.
I bid you welcome, Pilgrim. I am not allied with Colgrim. You have nothing to fear from me. I am the Guardian, the protector of the Urn of Sacred Ashes. I have waited years for this. No one can take the ashes. They belong here. It has been my duty, my life, to protect the urn and prepare the way for the faithful who come to revere Andraste. For years beyond counting have I been here, and shall I remain until my task is done and the Imperium has crumbled into the sea. There is joy to be found in my duty. You have come to honor Andraste, and you shall, if you prove yourself worthy. Still, you must prove yourself worthy. It is not my place to decide your worthiness. The Gauntlet does that. If you are found worthy, you will see the urn and be allowed to take a small pinch of the ashes for yourself. If not... Before you go, there is something I must ask. I see that the path that led you here was not easy. There is suffering in your past. Your suffering, and the suffering of others. Tamlin was one of your tribe, a blood brother. You left him in the ruins, left him to his fate. Tell me, Pilgrim, did you fail Tamlin? Then you do not dwell on past mistakes. Neither yours, nor someone else's.
It's easy for others to judge what you've done in hindsight, but it doesn't make it any better.
Oh, good. For a moment there I thought you were going to go on a weepy tirade and try to share your feelings.
It seems that reflection on past mistakes is a constant preoccupation of the religious mind.
You are too hard on yourself. No one's perfect.
And now the self-flagellation? Oh, that is what comes next in these things, no?
And what of those that follow you? Alistair, Knight, and Warden. You wonder if things would have been different if you were with Duncan on the battlefield. You could have shielded him from the killing blow. You wonder, don't you, if you should have died and not him?
Yes. If Duncan had been saved and not me, everything would be better. If I just had the chance, maybe I...
And the Antivan elf.
Oh, is it my turn now?
Hurrah! I'm so excited.
Many have died at your hand. But is there any you regret more than a woman by the name of...
How do you know about that?
I know much. It is allowed to me. The question stands, however. Do you regret?
Yes, the answer is yes, if that's what you wish to know. I do. Now move on.
Shale the stone giant. There is so little I can draw from you. I feel the distant echo of a soul, dormant for so long, now awake.
Good for you.
And with the awakening, the slow realization of all you have lost. Ah, Shale, your entire existence is a test of your will and courage. You have my respect. The way is open. Good luck, and may you find what you seek. You have been through the trials of the Gauntlet. You have walked the path of Andraste, and like her, you have been cleansed. You have proven yourself worthy, Pilgrim. Approach the sacred ashes.
I didn't think anyone could succeed in finding Andraste's final resting place. But here she is.
What an odd thing to do with the honored dead. To store it in a pot. Bizarre.
Nice vase. I should get one for my house. Desire. Very well, but I consider this pillow talk. Again? Well now, what might interest you, I wonder? Shall I describe the stages involved with Lanthrax poisoning? I watched a man go through all 7 once. Haha, you have rather macabre tastes, I see. I like that. Let's see, how about the largest battle I ever took part in? That would have been the slaughter of Prince Azrin. Did you hear of that down in these parts? Me? Not personally, but I did take part in the attack. Prince Azrin was 4th in line to the throne, you see. He started off as 11th, but worked his way up the old-fashioned method by inheriting control of an entire Crocel from his grandfather. After assassinating his way through the royal family, the king hired 3 other cells to take down Prince Azrin once and for all. I was in one of those cells. Prince Azrin was too powerful. Who could you send to arrest the man that wasn't either in his pocket or that didn't fear being assassinated first? Antivan royalty is very much bound up in the Crows. You wouldn't want it run by a bunch of commoners, after all, would you? And this means they get involved in politics quite often. This particular fight nearly bankrupted the nation, I understand. It almost ended up putting a crow on the throne, a commoner. But that's a whole different story. I played a very small part. Antiva might seem a bit odd in that way to outsiders. We take it in stride, however. Assassins are simply part of the landscape, so to speak.
My part in the entire battle was taken up trying to reach Princess Verina, who had thrown in with her brother. I killed about 11 of her guards personally before I got knocked out of a window. I landed in the river and nearly drowned. I was fished out by some urchins who robbed me blind. Made off with my boots, too. At least they didn't cut my throat. And that was my part in history. I had to find my way back to the safe house, bruised and naked, and thankful to be alive. But there you go. Tale told. Let's be off before I tell more embarrassing stories, huh? What is your desire? Again? I'm game. Again? What must the others think?
You're quite taken with each other, aren't you? I've noticed your blossoming relationship, and I wanted to ask you where you thought it was going. It seems he only ever has one thing on his mind. I question the wisdom of a Grey Warden being involved in such an affair. Which is why I worry. You are a Grey Warden. You have responsibilities, and I fear you will neglect them. Love is ultimately selfish. It demands that one be devoted to a single person who may fully occupy one's mind and heart to the exclusion of all else. A Grey Warden cannot afford to be selfish. You may be forced to make a choice between saving your love and saving everyone else. And then what would you do? I apologize if I've offended. I was just trying to point out why this affair may be a bad idea. I have given my advice. Do with it what you will.
You wish to talk? Ah, good. I have a question for you. How well versed are you in poetry? Antivan poetry, specifically. Well, trust me then. You won't be hearing it now. It was recited to me, as I recall, by a rather wealthy target of mine. Let's see. The symphony I see in thee, it whispers songs to me. Songs of hot breath upon my neck. Songs of soft grants by my head. Songs of hands on muscled back. Songs of thee come to my bed. So she claimed. She was trying to seduce me, you see, and somehow she thought that this would actually convince me to spare her. I had sex with her anyway, but that goes without saying. She still had to die. The poem was amusing at the time, however, and thus I've always remembered it. Now that is a thought, isn't it? Would it work? I'll have to keep that in mind. Personally, my preferred methods of seduction are a bit more tactile. Here I thought you might be cheered up by some naughty poetry. You simply look so grim. Such an unflattering expression for such a handsome face. Ah, who wouldn't? Burn me in the chantry if you must, but you're a man to stoke the lust in women and other men alike. Surely you know this, and you're playing with me. Me, I tend to make the best of whatever situation I find myself in, stealing what moments I can. It's served me well most days. You might learn to do the same. Or you could ignore my advice, considering where my brilliance has gotten me. Enough poetry, I think. The time has come for traveling and the murdering of villains and whatever else passes for adventuring these days. You call? Can I respond in poetry? No? How sad. I wouldn't have spoken about it before, but you have been a good friend. There is no reason for me not to speak of it now. There is a reason I accepted this mission in Ferelden, far away from home, and it had nothing to do with any thought that I might leave the Crows. Meeting you, after all, was quite an accident. My last mission before this one did not end well. You must realize that until that day I was cocky and arrogant. I was the best crow in Antiva, I believed, and I bragged of my conquests often, both as an assassin and lover. Indeed, I was often told I was insufferable, right before I ended up in bed with someone. Such is how it was. One of the crow masters grew tired of my boasting. My bid for an incredibly difficult mark was accepted, much to my surprise. A wealthy merchant with many guards and completely silent. Taliesin agreed to be part of my team, as well as an elven lass named Rina. She was a marvel. Tough, smooth, wicked, eyes that gleamed like justice. Everything I thought I desired. Rina was special. I had closed off my heart, I thought, but she touched something within me. It frightened me. When Taliesin revealed to me that Rina had accepted a bribe from the merchant, told him of our plan, I readily agreed that she needed to pay the price and allowed Taliesin to kill her. Rina begged me not to. On her knees, with tears in her eyes, she told me that she loved me and had not betrayed us. I laughed in her face and said that even if it were true, I didn't care. I convinced myself it was. Taliesin cut her throat, and I watched her bleed as she stared up at me. I spat on her for betraying the crows. When Taliesin and I finally assassinated the merchant, we found the true source of his information. Rina had not betrayed us, after all. Of course not. I didn't care to know. I wanted to tell the crows what we had done, our mistake. Taliesin convinced me not to. He said it would be a foolish waste. So we reported that Rina had died in the attempt. We needn't have bothered. The crows knew what we had done. The master who disliked me told me so to my face. He said the crows knew, and they didn't care. And one day, my turn would come. You once asked why I wanted to leave the crows. In truth, what I wanted was to die. What better way than to throw myself at one of the fabled Grey Wardens? And then, this happened, and here I am. It feels good to speak of it to someone. I swore I never would. Whatever it is I sought by leaving Antiva, I think I have found it. I owe you a great deal. Let us return to your mission, shall we? Suddenly, I do not feel like standing about.
And so here is the mighty Grey Warden at long last. The crows send their greetings once again.
So they sent you, Taliesin. Or did you volunteer for the job?
I volunteered, of course. When I heard that the great Zeveran had gone rogue, I simply had to see it for myself.
Is that so? Well, here I am, in the flesh.
You can return with me, Zeveran. I know why you did this, and I don't blame you. It's not too late. Come back and we'll make up a story. Anyone can make a mistake.
And I'm not about to let that happen.
What? You've gone soft.
I'm sorry, my old friend, but the answer is no. I'm not coming back. And you should have stayed in Antiva. And there it is. Taliesin is dead. And I am free of the crows. They will assume that I am dead along with Taliesin. So long as I do not make my presence known to them, they will not seek me out. A very good thing. It is in fact what I had hoped for, ever since you decided not to kill me. I suppose it would be possible for me to leave now if I wished. I could go far away, somewhere where the crows would never find me. I think, however, that I could also stay here. I made an oath to help you, after all, and saving the world seems a worthy task to see through to the end, yes? Well, we can't have that, can we? I'd best stay lest the consequences become unseemly. Let us return to the task at hand, then. There is still much to be done, yes? Here. It seems an appropriate moment to give you this. I acquired it on my very first job for the Crows. A Arainai merchant prince, and he was wearing a single jeweled earring when I killed him. In fact, that's about all he was wearing. I thought it was beautiful and took it to mark the occasion. I've kept it since, and I'd like you to have it. Don't get the wrong idea about it. You killed Taliesin. As far as the Crows will be concerned, I died with him. That means I'm free, at least for now. Feel free to sell it or wear it, whatever you like. It's really the least I could give you in return. Look, just take it. It's meant a lot to me, but so has what you've done. Please, take it. I have no better way to say it. Thank you. I did not thank you. It occurs to me now that you have freed me from the Crows, and yet I did not think to thank you for it. No matter why you did it, it was done, and I the benefactor. So, thank you. I am slow to think of these things, but then they are not entirely familiar to me after all. In the Crows, we do not have friends, and yet here you are, and I cannot help but consider you such. I must admit that I have thought of you in the same way. I simply had no idea you might feel the same. How very novel. Well, now that moment's over with, shall we return to the road?
I have watched you for a time, and perhaps I was wrong. There seems to be something special between the two of you. His demeanor changes when he's with you. There is a tenderness to his gaze I'd never seen till now. I think I was too harsh in my judgment before, and I am sorry. What you have may not last forever. Death and duty may part you, but love's worthiness is not diminished because of that. I should have seen this before. Instead, you learn to cherish every precious moment that you spend together, knowing that it may be the last. And for those of us watching, well, it brings warmth to these old bones to know that something so beautiful can be found in the midst of chaos and strife.
Do not be alarmed. It is only I. Quite the opposite, in fact. I have a plan, you see. A way out. The loop in your hole. I know what happens when the Archdemon dies. I know a Grey Warden must be sacrificed, and that sacrifice could be you. I have come to tell you that this does not need to be. I offer a way out. A way out for all the Grey Wardens, that there need be no sacrifice. A ritual, performed on the eve of battle, in the dark of night. Anything to do with magic stirs one's fear, especially amongst those who do not understand it. What I speak of is old magic, A ritual from a time long before the Circle of Magi was ever created. Some might call it blood magic, but that is but a name. There is far more to fear in this world than names. From Flemeth, of course. I have known about it for some time. I did. Would you have believed me if I had been the one to tell you? I have my doubts. I have fought at your side and risked death for you, and more. Even if you do not trust me, know that I wish you no harm. Not tomorrow, and certainly not now. All I ask is that you listen to what I have to offer, nothing more. You are a fool. I will not stand by and watch you waste this opportunity. Die if you feel it is worthwhile, or be overshadowed. I care not. Would that I could have helped you. That is your doing, however, and not mine. Fare you well, my friend. I do what I must now, and so shall you.
Head into the city to face the archdemon together, do we? Just as it should be. Allow me to say that it has been a pleasure, my friend. Assassinating you was the luckiest thing that could have happened to me. And yet good enough to fight an archdemon. Imagine that.
Wait. Let me. There's no need for you to die. This is my duty. I should be the one to kill it. But I got one up on you. I'm not just a Grey Warden. I'm the king. And I want to be a good king. And this right here is the best king I could be. My first and last act being to stop the Blight before it really starts. No one could blame me for that, could they? Not to mention that you're the best friend I could ever have asked for. I would be dead if you hadn't saved my life a dozen times over by now. So let me save yours just this once.
My friends, we are gathered to celebrate those responsible for our victory. Alistair, the son of King Merrick and last of the Therin bloodline, gave his life for us by slaying the mighty archdemon. But the one who led the battle against the Darkspawn thankfully, remains with us still. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the hero of Ferelden, the first Grey Warden to defeat the Blight since Garahel 4 centuries ago. Grey Warden, it is hard to imagine how you could have aided Ferelden more. I think it only appropriate that I return the favor. Is there any boon you might request of Ferelden's queen? I think that can be accomplished. Let it be known that the hinterlands to the north of the Kakari Wilds, including Ostagar, are hereby granted in their entirety to the Dalish Elves. It's rugged land, and there will be much for us to work out. But let's hope this is just a first step in our people working together. Let it also be known that the Arling of Amaranthine, once the land of Arlhow, is now granted to the Grey Wardens. There they can rebuild, following the example of those who went before them. What are your plans? Will you remain with the Grey Wardens? I am certain they will be relieved to know your intentions. There is a group of eager Ferelden citizens waiting outside to get a look at their hero. I suggest you make at least a brief appearance before they storm the gate. Just tell the guard at the door when you are ready.
I will be relieved when all this pomp and ceremony is done. Such events are perfect opportunities for assassins, after all. I can't help but expect the crows to appear at any moment, which would be a welcome break, mind you. You see? This is why I like you. Always game for a little fun. You know, it does occur to me that staying in one place is only going to invite the crows to find me that much quicker, while fun, that might eventually get complicated. You said earlier that you were planning on returning to the Grey Warden fold soon. Is that true? Naturally. You caught me and now you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. Sad, I know, but we'll manage somehow. Well then, since I am sticking around, I suppose we'll have plenty of time to speak later, yes? So go on and get paraded about. It's fun to watch. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on you and make sure no one gets a clear shot. Not without paying me a great deal of coin, anyhow.
Let's get started, as you wish. Right.
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with C-O-L-O-G-N-A.